Hey guys, it's John McNamara, host, Ron in Vegas. We're talking local sports, business, real estate. If you like what you see, like, subscribe, follow us on Run in Vegas podcast on Instagram. And today we got a special guest, Mr. Kory Brown, controller of Virtue Real Estate Group.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Thanks for being on, man.
Excited to be here.
Excited to have you on. So tell us about you. Tell us your story. Where are you from?
All right, so Kory Brown, originally from California, but after doing elementary school, middle school down in California, I moved to Las Vegas with my family. My dad opened up a law firm just kind of down the road here, and so I call Vegas home. All of my really being grown up years, my developmental years all took place here. So from Vegas, went to Spring Valley High School. Graduated in 2007. After that, I went to college, initially BYU, Idaho. And then I actually went on an LDS service mission for a couple of years down in Chile. So I speak a little Spanish, but served my mission in Chile. And then when I came back, went to BYU Provo. That's where I graduated from, and that's where I met my wife. And so my wife's name is Cammie. We have 4 kids together. We've got our oldest Gracie, we've got Bennett, then we got Boston, and then we've got Charlotte, a little 1-year-old. So,
wow.
Yeah, life's pretty busy, but we've been kind of everywhere. We've been, after having graduated in Utah, we went and worked in Idaho and then Texas, and then we've been back in Vegas now for about 8 years.
Wow.
So,
yeah, so we
love Vegas.
That's pretty cool. I didn't know you served in Chile for a little bit too.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool. Tell me about that experience.
Sure. Yeah. So I served in a place. It's called Antofagasta. Okay. It's the very northern part of Chile, and it's actually one of the areas that I served in was it touched Peru. So we were at the very end of Chile there, and Chile is a really long country. And where I was at, it's like the armpit of the world. It is desert, just like Las Vegas. Okay. It just happens to be most of the cities are along the coast. Yeah. So, you'd walk around and people are out watering their dirt. That's what they do to not have everything tracked into their house. Yeah. Yes, but great experience, wonderful people. Kind of an exciting couple of years, a lot of hard work, but great appreciation for the people of Chile.
I bet. Yeah, it must have been an incredible experience. It's really cool. Yeah, I love the people who travel, and I've really just gone to Mexico, so I'm not a good, but I've gotten a lot out of those experiences. So, but so tell me. So it sounds like you've been to a lot of places: Idaho, Utah, Texas. Now you're back in Vegas. Yep. How was that experience being back in Vegas? And you've been?
Vegas feels like home. Of all the places we've been, Utah was a lot of school. I got my first job actually right out of school. So I guess start off with, I got my my marketing degree from BYU, and then I went to work for Nestle. Okay. And the job that I was sold on was that it was kind of this marketing role, but really was just sales. Yeah. And so I kind of quickly found that the things that I was passionate about did not involve tricking people into buying more candy than they actually needed in their grocery stores. Yeah, not tricking so much, but there were some things that were kind of unnecessary, and you're always getting pushed to do more. I just didn't really enjoy that, and so I went and worked for another company. It's called Transwest Mobile Truck Repair. Okay. Basically, we managed all of the Cox kind of vehicles. I think it was Dish. It was the dish trucks. We had 1,300 vehicles in that fleet down in Houston, and we were responsible for getting all their trucks repaired. But the way that the company was set up is it was mobile. So on the guys' days off, to help be efficient in all their mobile repairs, we would send technicians out to their homes and do all the repairs at their houses when the guys were off. So it was to help Dish. It would create a lot of value for Dish to be able to get their fleet in good condition without having to get them off the road, prevent them from working. Yeah. But then after having worked there for a little while, we realized, one of the goals I'd always have was to get an MBA. And so they weren't super supportive of me going back to school, or, you get it, that's great, but we're not going to pay you more. And, so my vision of what I wanted from life brought us back to Las Vegas. And then for the last almost 8 years, I worked at Fabulous Freddy's Car Wash.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I was a controller there. I started doing like accounts receivable for him for the first couple of years, and then I completed my MBA. It's all done online.
Okay.
But after graduating and searching for a job, the two guys that run the company, it's Freddie Smith. Freddie is a real person. Okay. So Fabulous Freddy's, he's real. And then
Did
Jeff.
not know that.
Yeah. And then you got Jeff Warnick, who's the CFO. And I had known Jeff. He had been a neighbor for a long time. And so when I was coming back to Vegas, he's like, look, we got this role in accounts receivable.
Yeah.
And then we had a conversation once after finishing school. And he was like, dude, you're just, you finished school now. I know you're looking for work. You're too smart to just be doing accounts receivable. I've got this role that I'd like to create, and we'd like to put you into it. And so that's how I transitioned kind of from sales into sort of managing a company into more of an accounting role.
Okay.
And then got into a financial controller role, and that's what I've been doing with them for like I've been with them for about 8 years, but for the last 5 to 6 years, I've been their financial controller.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So tell us, because Darren, you moved over to Virtue Real Estate Group. Congratulations.
Thank you. Very excited.
We're excited to have you part of the brokerage.
Yeah, thanks.
And Darren was pumped to tell us about the new controller coming over. So I was talking about it a little bit, with people. And the one thing I got from talking to a couple people is, what the heck is a controller?
Yeah, sure.
So if you don't mind sharing that.
Yeah. No, I was trying to think about the best way to describe this.
Yeah.
And did you like Legos growing up?
Of course.
Okay, yeah. Most guys do, right? Legos are awesome.
Just don't step on them.
Just don't step on them. But like when you rip open Legos and you kind of dump out all the pieces, and you've got your instructions, but like it's just sort of a mess. Mm-hmm. And when you're trying to run a business, there's just like this mess. And you're trying to get everything organized, you're trying to fix everything, and at the same time, you have all these other like competing interests trying to take your attention away, or they need help with things, and you're trying to stay focused. And so a controller, financial controller, one of the most important pieces of running a business is understanding your finances, so you can set, good, accurate goals, so that you want to be profitable. Yeah. And when your attention is just divided between everything, it's so hard to keep that all in focus, because honestly, you might be doing great in sales, but you don't realize that you've invested so much in some of these other things and have all these expenses where it looks like you're profitable, you actually aren't. And that's not always the case for most businesses, but like it can happen. And so what'll happen as a controller is, let me take this huge piece of your business and let me focus on it for you. And so that way, the only thing you're presented when it comes to understanding your finances is like, here's the end results. Now let's make some good decisions. And so, it's managing your accounts payable, accounts receivable, making sure the bank account, everything is reconciling correctly, and getting good financial reports. So that way, when you're trying to make good business decisions, you're focused in the right direction. Yeah. Because right now, it's just so easy with all the distractions as a business owner to be just sort of get lost in those tasks. Yeah. And so that's my job.
That's a really important job.
Yeah, so totally.
I know, especially in sales, like our team, we talk about all the time, it's the beach ball effect. And I know myself, like I'm really focused on sales, and that's what I do, and that's what I'm good at, is bringing in the money, right? But then if I'm not taking the time to take the step back and look at the expenses, the profitability, and so that's really important. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So I'm taking those Legos and I'm just trying to piece them together so he doesn't have to worry about it. So I'm hoping once he gets that nice little Lego, whether it's a ship or it's a castle, hopefully when I present it to him, he's like, all right, now I'm putting it here and I'm facing it this direction. We're making good choices. So
great.
That's my job.
Okay, cool. I like it. So how do you end up at Virtue Real Estate Group?
Yeah, so it's a cool story. So I'm trying to think how far back to go. I had a really great career, and I learned so much at Fabulous Freddy's. Okay. Love them. But we just got to a point where I've got too many kids now, I've got my 4 children, and we were looking for work. And so if you've ever tried applying to like Indeed and stuff, it just, you basically just get ghosted by everybody. Yeah. So we kind of put some things out, but then you lose momentum. So I happened to be just sort of hanging out one day, and one of my friends, his name is John Quiamson, shout out to John, but he does a lot of the video marketing and editing for Darren, my boss, and for Virtue Real Estate Group. And so
John's been on the pod.
Has he?
Yeah.
Okay. Hey.
So is Darren.
Yeah. Okay. So everybody knows him.
Club. Yeah.
Yeah. So John, I guess, had been out doing a shoot for Darren one evening.
Okay.
And Darren was like, "Look, man, I'm ready to take my business and I want to blow it up. Let's expand this thing. Let's, really go for it." He's like, "But I'm looking for a controller. I need it I just need someone. I'm looking for someone who's honest, that I can trust." He's like, "Do you know anyone?" So I got a text from John and was like, "Dude, you looking for work?" I was like, "Absolutely, I am." And he's like, "All right, I'm going to send your number over to Darren." Darren texted me within 3 minutes after he had sent the information. He set up a call for the next morning. And so, honestly, it wasn't something I'd been kind of poking around at things, but nothing was really working out.
Yeah.
And so really it came down to just having a friend in the right position, in the right place that was like, "Hey, got an opportunity, you game." And I was like, "Yes, let's do this." So
that's great.
Yeah, so that's how it came to be. And so I got to meet with him and a couple of his partners, and the rest is history.
Great. Sounds like Darren on top of it. You're texting him back in 3 minutes. So
yeah, always, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So cool. So tell us more about your day to day. What are the greatest challenges being a controller? And I know it sounds like there's a shift in industry that you're coming into, but and I think I don't know how long you've been Virtue, like a week or two. So I don't want to put you too much
like a
on
week
the
and a
spot
half.
Things.
Yeah, no. So I honestly, there's a lot of things that are super similar, but there's also things that are very different.
Okay.
And so, on top of just kind of learning a brand new industry, there's new accounting systems that I'm unfamiliar with that I've been able to get some training on and stuff. But they're still a challenge to make sure I understand the formats, how they work. We use different kinds of accounting methods. Here with Virtue, we're recognizing revenue differently than I was doing it with Fabulous Freddy's.
Yeah.
And that's more just like there's cash-based versus accrual-based accounting. We're not doing anything shady or anything. It's different.
Right.
And so I'm having to learn kind of these processes and what I can and can't do within our accounting software systems. My day-to-day, seems like I usually come in and I'm solving the problems that I left from the night before. But then I spend most of my day reviewing bank transactions, making sure they're getting categorized to correct general ledger codes, making sure expenses are going where they're supposed to.
Yeah.
I think I have 2 or 3 emails that I'm checking now to check for any outstanding invoices that need to be paid. And then I'm taking all that information and I'm just trying to get it when I can in front of Darren, so that we can make a plan for what needs to be paid. What choices need to be made about certain companies that we're working with. And I'm just trying to understand how all those processes work so that I can get that information to him, be as efficient as possible, but also take care of, our vendors and the people that are looking out for us. And so all that's it's very similar, but being in a different industry, using different software and things, very different.
Okay.
So very similar, very different.
Are you using different software system then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the system we use at Fabulous Freddy's, it was more of things were manually entered. So there's a lot of busy work. The software that we use, everyone's probably pretty familiar with it, but QuickBooks.
Yep.
We use QuickBooks, and they have so many incredible features that allow you to be so much more efficient with your time. And so there's so much less manually entering items, things that are just being automated. So that way, when we get to the end of a month, we're typically with a more kind of manual-based system, it's going to take you several days to close out your month and make sure your financials are good.
Yeah.
With some of this new software, which, it's not new, but it's new to me, we're going to be able to finish out that process in a day or two. So it just allows us to be so much faster and more efficient with our time. And allows us to focus more on the tasks that are more important, which is, okay, now that the numbers are finalized and all presented, what decisions do we need to make so that going into next month, we're making better decisions and we're, becoming more profitable. And so that's new software for me, but it's super helpful.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like it's way more efficient. I guess my other question is for you, because it sounds like you're on top of it month to month, and you're looking at quarter to quarter, it looks like. Do you guys go over like projections of what you think the next quarter is going to look like? Because as I'm sure you know too, in the real estate industry, we're very seasonal.
Sure.
So how does that work?
Yeah, and that's going to be new for me too.
Okay.
Like, I understand that, we have some slower winter months. You have years that are slower during election years. There's different trends that affect the real estate industry. So a lot of that, for the first little bit as I get integrated into Virtue Real Estate Group, a lot of the projections are going to come from working with Darren. Mm-hmm. And being able to sort of understand what he anticipates is going to happen. And then at that point, it's going out and, a lot of the projections that we'll make will be based off of, I'm just going to say like assumptions, but like those assumptions are going to be what help us create our goals of how we're going to get to those points. Yeah. So yes, we're looking at those things quarter to quarter, year to year, month to month, week to week. And we're trying to dial it down so that, we're removing inefficiencies as fast as possible, and we're creating projections for revenue based on current trends, past trends, what we anticipate future trends, and be able to kind of make a profit plan. But that's all going to be pretty new, and a lot of it's going to come from the experience of people like you.
Okay, cool. Yeah, well, Darren's obviously on the pulse, so he's going to be able to. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Hit on the nose, because this was like a weird year for us in real estate, because it was election. And it was a crazy election, right? So, the market was basically dead from July until 2 weeks ago.
Right. And what's funny about that, so at Fabulous Freddy's, like we had gaming, slot gaming in the C-stores. And it's the same thing, we were talking to our partners at the gaming company we worked with.
Yeah.
And we were like, what is going on this year? And they're like, this happens every election year. People start to hold on to their money. The money will come back. Like, just watch. So it's kind of funny how it affects. Elections will affect different industries different ways. But so I think everybody's looking forward to a good 2025 and bounce backs.
Absolutely. It's funny because I was talking to other, business partner friends, in other industries, and just seemed like everything was slow, so it's good to see things kind of ramp up again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So one thing that's interesting about real estate as well is usually about 60% of our business is written in the first half of the year and then 40% second. So that's a big thing that comes with real estate. How do you see your job evolving over the next 5 years? I know it's been a couple weeks, but tell me more about that and what you see with that.
Yeah, and I was thinking about that earlier about like 5 to 10 years down the road, how is my role different? And right now, we're still a really small company for the most part, with plans of getting really large. And a lot of times with expansion, you take on more people, and it requires where you used to have just like a controller, now you need some people to run your accounts receivable, accounts payable, be reaching out to vendors, following up on payments, those kinds of things. But with kind of this emerging trend of like new technology, I think that we're going to be able to maintain kind of a really lean system. So what I anticipate in the next 5 to 10 years, as we get really big, we're going to be able to expand, but be able to keep our kind of office footprint really small. And so that'll just be me continuing to be engaged in, different, I don't want to say tasks, but like, in some companies where, maybe they don't have their controller working on these tasks, I'll be able to stay in them, and when I say them, accounts payable, accounts receivable, those kinds of things, I can stay in them, but that helps me keep a good pulse on exactly what's going on with the company. So I'm not depending on other people like, hey, what's going on with those invoices? I can stay involved, but at the same time, it's not adding extra work because there is currently, there's, like QuickBooks, you've got technology that's just streamlining everything. So I'll be able to stay involved, but also have a better idea of what's going on in the business while we grow, but keeping kind of that footprint small.
Yeah. I'll be honest with you, it's really nice just having you in the office, because I've worked for a lot of bigger broker. Darren has a very big mindset, and he wants to grow this brokerage fast, and that's one thing we really enjoy working with Darren. But working for bigger companies, bigger brokerages back in the day, you don't meet the controller, you don't get to. So it's kind of cool for me, because I like all aspects of the business and learning more about it. So with QuickBooks do you see any like AI programs coming out that you're going to utilize in the future as well, or?
I don't know. I gotta imagine though, like you see the way that AI is transforming. For example, this is a silly example, but we had someone in our church organization that was giving a talk, and he had actually started giving this talk, and it sounded totally normal. And he was like, "I'm gonna stop right there because I asked ChatGPT to write part of this." And it sounded like a totally normal thing, like a human had written it, and it was he like integrated into what he was talking about. But I think that those systems will make what we do, especially like with all these financial tasks and building out reports and interpreting reports and creating cash flow projections. I think a lot of those things that yes, AI will be able to step in, and you still need to get down into the details. But I think AI will be much more prevalent in helping us project income, revenue, growth, and honestly, I think it'll just make my life easier.
I think so.
So yes, I do anticipate that happening, but how it actually affects like the real estate industry, I'm not totally sure what's being designed yet, but I'm excited to jump in and learn more.
There's a lot out there. Well, at least for my side of it, chat. I think when AI was first coming out, everybody's freaking out. Agents are going away. So far, it's been a great tool for us, and we use ChatGPT when I do work on the podcast later. It usually does the whole synopsis, and you got to read through it because it does make mistakes here and there.
Sure.
But it's been a great tool. A lot of these, even making shorts, it's pretty incredible. It's just it makes us way more efficient, which has been pretty cool.
Right.
So tell me, okay, so we've gone through the controller. It seems like you're a big family man.
Yeah.
So you were talking about that a little before. You transitioned virtual real estate. So you got a big family. How do you create balance in your life? It seems like you're a hard worker as well. And
thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope that's true.
Yeah.
No. So sometimes things don't always feel balanced.
Yeah.
I'll say that. And I mean that in the nicest way possible.
Yeah.
Most of my time is focused on my family. When you get home and until you get them to bed, it's like trying to herd cats, right?
Sounds like my team.
Yeah, probably similar. Yeah, so you start to, focus on one thing and trying to help someone with homework, and then you get, distracted over here. Yeah. So honestly, I mean, you got to find good outlets, things that you can do to enjoy yourself. One of the things that I really like doing, I've got a really good group of friends that we actually like together and play board games.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I haven't seen them in a couple weeks. Sorry about that, guys. But really enjoy playing board games, engaging my mind in kind of a different way. This isn't like Monopoly. I don't know if you know that. There's like a whole other like realm of board games.
Oh, give me your go-to board games.
Go-to?
Yeah.
There's so many. Okay, where to start? I don't know where to start. Okay, Ark Nova. We'll start with Ark Nova.
Oh, no
If you
idea.
like zoos, it's a board game about zoos, putting together a zoo. I play that one with one friend pretty consistently.
Okay.
I don't know. There's so many of them, and they're so complicated. And so I try to get my wife to play. She hates them, so she lets me go play with my friends like once a week. So So I mean, we find ways. I like going and shooting guns. I like motorcycles. My kids have a little dirt bike. They ride around the neighborhood.
Where do you guys go shooting?
Growing up, we usually just found a spot in the desert.
Yeah.
Last couple times I've attempted to do that, we've gotten kicked out by...
It's a little bit tougher now, right?
Yeah. You got to get really far away to do that.
Yeah.
But they have a local shooting range, North Las Vegas, up past Arborview, Shadow Ridge, one of those schools. So you can go up there, and they've got all kinds of different shooting that you can do. So I mean, it's
do you
trying to find some time to do hobbies like that.
Are you a shotgun guy, rifle guy?
All right. Well, I just went trap shooting a couple weeks ago with a friend. So I really love shotguns. I don't get out rifle shooting enough as I would like to. And I've got a little .22 that I want to take my kids out and teach them how to shoot. So, I mean, a combination of everything. I like it all.
Yeah.
I like the sound. I like the way it hurts your shoulder. It's all fun.
You gotta have a little pain at the end of it, right?
Yeah, if you don't leave and you're not hurting for a week, you didn't do it.
Pain and a beer, that's what I'm saying. But, cool. Have you met my brother yet, Chris Ward?
That's your brother?
That's my brother.
I had no idea.
That is my brother.
Okay.
So he is really big into games. So,
Really?
Yeah, when you were talking about the whole games and how complicated they are. So my brother, like once a year, he tries. I'm not going to be a good game person, by the way.
Okay.
So,
all right. I'll invite you.
Yeah. I'll come and have a beer, but I probably won't play the game. But he, every year, will try to get me to play some very complicated game.
Yeah.
And I could care less. But when you're naming all these games.
Okay. Are these board games?
Yeah, these are board games.
Yes.
So you guys need to talk.
Yeah. Yeah, it needs to happen.
I think so. I think you guys would get along. So
that's awesome.
Cool. Yeah. Do you do anything else fun? Do you travel or back to Chile?
No, never. I wish. It's complicated to travel with a bunch of kids.
Oh, I bet.
This last year, we got one of those like big bags that goes on top of your car finally because we don't have enough space in our car to haul stuff. We do most of our traveling is up to Utah. Okay. My parents have a cabin up Duck Creek.
Oh, love
Cedar
Duck Creek.
City. Oh, so all right, yeah.
Yeah,
Duck
I live
Creek's
in
awesome.
southern. Well, I don't live. I go to southern Utah like every 6 months.
Okay.
It's one of my favorite places to go.
Yeah. My parents are in St. George, so we visit more than anything. I would say we go either up to St. George to Duck Creek, or my in-laws all live up, and some of my siblings too. I'll just say Provo to Salt Lake, kind of that area.
Okay.
So we make trips up there, but it's a lot of work. So we only do it when we have to now. But we love
that must
visiting
be
family.
Yeah, you got a big family, so I can understand. That's. Do you see yourself long term in Las Vegas or moving back to Utah in the future?
I mean, if the opportunity presented itself where Darren was like, "Hey, man, we're opening an office here. You want to go work there?"
Yeah.
Okay, maybe. But I don't know. The housing market there right now is really challenging.
Yeah.
Really old homes are really expensive, and new homes are really, really expensive.
They are, yeah.
And we honestly love our community. We love our neighborhood. We live up Centennial area.
Oh, great area. That's where my parents live.
Yeah, it's really wonderful. We got everything we need, good schools. So long term, I would anticipate we're sticking around Las Vegas.
Sticking around. Okay.
Yeah, and we're getting the A's. We now, Raiders.
Are you a
A's.
baseball guy?
Well.
What's your sport?
No, it's football. Definitely football. I love football.
I figured you went to BYU. So.
Yeah, I actually worked for the BYU football team for a year.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh my God, you've been leaving this out this entire podcast?
Yeah, can you believe it?
We could have talked about this for 30 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, I worked for the BYU football team. I was an equipment manager. That was due to just like John helped me get into Virtue. I had a really good friend, Matt, who got me a position. But I got to travel to Notre Dame, go see their locker room, be on the field.
South Bend, huh?
Yeah, it was incredible. That place was awesome. I know we just barely beat Utah, but it was a miracle. But it was
That's an interesting penalty. I don't know.
Yeah. That didn't help us out much to lose to Kansas next week, but
it might have been some of that NIL money.
Yeah, but they I was at the University of Utah the year that there was we had 3 attempts to kick a field goal, and we kept getting another attempt. There were 2 different times because of just penalties on Utah.
Yeah.
And we missed all 3 of them, and the field got rushed 3 times. I was there that year. That sucked.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I love football. So yeah, that would be my sport.
Cool.
Yeah.
I grew up being a Notre Dame fan. I didn't go
did
there, but I've been to South Bend multiple times, and
it's cool, man.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
It's a different world up there for sure. So
yeah,
BYU, you guys are looking pretty good this year.
Yeah, no, it's been a weird year, and I think we have been living on a few miracles.
Yeah.
And this last week it didn't work out, and we got a tough schedule with Arizona State. And even if we get to the Big 12 championship, I'm not sure. Colorado's looking really hot.
Yeah.
I don't know we can beat them. So
it might be doable. Yeah.
It could happen. There's a road to national championship, but I would be shocked.
Do you watch BYU basketball at all?
No, but I'm very excited about the basketball team.
Yeah, you guys just got a local here, Vegas 7-footer who was supposed to go to UNLV, but he went to BYU.
Oh, really?
And then I think the #1 kid in the nation, he's a 6'9" shooting guard. I cannot remember his name right now.
Yeah, he's up in St. George, Hurricane area, I think.
Yeah,
and he's close to committing.
They're saying BYU's going to give him $2 or $3 million a year to play for them.
Yeah. Now BYU.
So that's pretty cool. Good time to be a BYU fan.
Yeah,
I love
exciting.
it.
Yeah.
But awesome. Well, dude, I want to thank you for being on.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're going to wrap up the pod. If you guys are looking for some financial advice, this is your man right here, Kory Brown in the house. Guys, this is Run Vegas, John McNamara. Take care of yourselves today.